Have you ever stood at the edge of something vast, something that made you feel terrifyingly small? Maybe it was a mountain range, an ocean, or a 3 a.m. spiral into Google searches like, "Is anything real?" Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche called this feeling staring into the abyss, a confrontation with the void where meaning dissolves. But here's the catch. The abyss isn't out there. It's inside us. And today, we're staring harder than ever, scrolling through infinite feeds, watching AI write poetry, pretending we're okay. But what happens when the void starts staring back? And how do we stop it from swallowing us whole? A 2024 Pew Research study found that 62% of adults under 35 report feeling existential numbness, a disconnect from purpose, identity, or hope. Nietzsche warned about this over a century ago. He saw the collapse of religion, the rise of industrial alienation, and predicted a crisis of meaning. But he also offered a lifeline. Today we're dissecting his warning and the path to clawing back meaning in a world that monetizes despair. Nietzsche didn't just write about the abyss, he lived it. Imagine being a 19th century genius watching your world unravel. Science killed God, factories replaced craftsmanship, people became cogs. His famous line, "God is dead," wasn't a celebration, it was a eulogy. "We have killed him, you and I," he wrote, warning that without shared myths, society would fracture into nihilism. Sound familiar? Today's gods are dying too. The myth of progress. Climate disasters mock our faith in technology. The myth of meritocracy. 76% of millennials won't earn more than their parents. The myth of connection. 3.6 billion social media users, yet loneliness is a pandemic. When collective stories crumble, the abyss opens. Your brain treats existential dread like a hot stove. UCLA research shows that contemplating meaninglessness activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Why? Evolution wired us to seek patterns and purpose. It kept us alive. A 2023 study in Neuron found that uncertainty reduces dopamine by 40%. So when TikTok tells you nothing matters, your mind screams for anesthesia, binge watching, doom scrolling, or worse. We're not built for infinite choice. Psychologist Barry Schwartz calls this the paradox of freedom. Too many options paralyze us. Nietzsche's abyss forces us to choose without guarantees. No wonder we freeze. Modern capitalism sells us nihilism light trademark. Life's meaningless, so buy this latte. But Nietzsche's abyss can't be Starbucksified. Real nihilism isn't edgy memes. It's the 34-year-old who ghosts their career, family, and future, because why try? Japan calls this hikikomori. 500,000 recluses who've fully retreated into the void. The abyss isn't a phase, it's a predator. Viktor Frankl survived the Holocaust by applying Nietzsche's ideas. In Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote, "Those who had a why could bear almost any how." His why, reconstructing his burned manuscript. Nietzsche called this amor fati, loving your fate. Not denying suffering, but alchemizing it. Frankl's lesson. The abyss shrinks when we focus on what we can give, not what we've lost. A 2022 study in positive psychology found that people who volunteer during crises report 50% higher purpose levels, even if their own lives are unstable. After a trolley accident shattered her spine, Frida Kahlo turned agony into art. Her paintings scream Nietzsche's idea, "You must chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, the 60% of trauma survivors who discover renewed creativity. But society often pathologizes staring into the abyss. Kahlo was called the martyr of pain. Today, she's a beacon of radical authenticity. Even scientists aren't immune. Einstein called his doubt cosmic religious feeling, awe at the universe's chaos. He didn't fight the abyss, he let it fuel curiosity. Nietzsche would have approved. The value of life lies not in duration, but in donation. Nietzsche's abyss isn't here to crush you, it's daring you to build. But you don't need a grand manifesto or a TED Talk. Start small with a meaning scaffold, a web of tiny, intentional acts that tether you to something real. Rituals over routines. Turn the everyday into sacred ground. Brew your morning coffee like it's a prayer. Smell the grounds, feel the warmth. Walk without earbuds, letting the world hum its own tune. Micro-communities. Find or forge spaces where you're not a resume or a follower count. Join a book club that argues over dog-eared pages. Plant carrots with urban gardeners. Share a meal where the only currency is presence. Anchoring questions. Swap vague dread for sharp focus. Not, what's my purpose? Too big, too slippery. Try what's worth suffering for today. Maybe it's a friend's smile, a finished sketch, or just getting out of bed. Stanford studies say micro-rituals cut existential anxiety by 37%, creating islands of certainty in a storm. Your scaffold doesn't need to be a cathedral, just strong enough to stand on. Here's a wild twist. The abyss isn't your foe, it's your sparring partner. Nietzsche wrote, "The snake that cannot shed its skin perishes. Growth demands discomfort." Psychologist Carol Dweck's growth mindset fits here. See doubt as a muscle, not a wound. A 2023 Harvard Business Review study found that workers who lean into uncertainty solve problems 25% faster, less perfection, more grit. Next time you're spiraling, jobs shaky, futures foggy, flip the script. Don't ask why me, ask what's this teaching me? Maybe it's patience, or how to laugh when the boulder's mid-fall. Uncertainty's not a trap, it's a dojo. Art's your lifeline when the abyss pulls. Kafka said, "A book must be the axe for the frozen sea within us," then torched 90% of his drafts. The point isn't fame or likes, it's cracking yourself open. Studies show free-form creativity, like doodling or jamming, boosts your prefrontal cortex, the brain's meaning factory. Try these. Void journals. Spill your guts on paper. No editing, no audience, just you and the page. Chaos cooking. Grab whatever's in the fridge. Half a carrot, some soy sauce, and improvise. Taste the mess. Dance like no one's algorithm. Crank the music. Flail in your kitchen. No TikTok lens. Move for you. Nietzsche's Übermensch, the superhuman, isn't a lone wolf, it's a crew. Meet the lighthouse generation. Lighting paths through collective guts. Mutual aid networks. 68% of Gen Z volunteers weekly, per a 2023 Gallup poll, dwarfing boomers 29%. They're feeding, fixing, sharing. Post-capitalist hobbies, gardening, mending clothes, trading skills, joy that doesn't need a barcode. Digital detox tribes, apps like Screenless Saturdays are up 200% yearly, carving out analog sanctuaries. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Your lighthouse doesn't need to save everyone. Just one." Nietzsche's abyss isn't a death sentence, it's a call to create. The darkest skies hold the brightest stars. Your despair isn't a flaw, it's the friction of becoming. So stare, then ask, what gods will I birth from this silence? Your turn. Comment one tiny meaning you'll forge this week. A poem, a meal, a 2 a.m. conversation. And if this video ignited something, share it. In a world of algorithms, be a human flair. Stay reckless, stay tender, and remember, the stars themselves were born from chaos.